Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Out of touch, disconnected, elitist, doesn't even begin to describe it. The optics are just terrible. From Joe Biden's blood-red, Nazi-style speech, to the Democrats taking September 11th to compare January 6 protesters to 9/11 hijackers, to now this, it shows that Democrats just don't know how to be normal human beings. They don't know how to connect or relate to regular people. And like I mentioned the word optics, they just look terrible, awful. They look like bad people, they look completely out of touch. You might be asking, what exactly am I referring to? What am I talking about? Well, we're talking about yesterday, or probably the day before yesterday, since you guys are seeing this video a day late, where the Democrat establishment and the Biden regime were celebrating their economic track record and the Inflation Reduction Act, patting each other on the back, celebrating, happy, laughing, as the stock market crashed into oblivion, celebrating the Inflation Reduction Act, as the CPI data, the inflation report, comes out much worse than expected. Well, I mean, worse than economists expected. Regular people that are paying attention definitely expected this, but the contrast here in the optics is the story. Democrats continue to pat themselves on the back as life remains hard and continues to get harder for everyday Americans. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. Let's take a look at the economic data, let's take a look at the markets, and let's continue to cover the disastrous Biden economy. We've got some stuff to get into, friends, so let's roll the tape. Okay, so the other day, Joe Biden at the White House hosts a celebration event for the passing of his Inflation Reduction Act, where Joe Biden claimed this.
This bill cut costs for families, help reduce inflation at the kitchen table.
The Inflation Reduction scam, quote, helped reduce inflation. First of all, the bill hasn't even really gone into effect. Second of all, inflation hasn't been reduced. I mean, the optics here, the juxtaposition, was so clearly bad for the Biden regime that even CNN was able to point out the obvious. Take a look at what they said while they were airing Joe Biden's event.
Stood up.
Okay, you're listening there to President Biden at the White House. He's celebrating the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. He says that he's been fighting Big Pharma for decades. But there is this unfortunate split screen right now with the Dow taking a total beating, down more than 1,200 points. And so it feels like it's hard to be celebratory for some people in the crowd.
Yeah, an unfortunate split screen right now as the Dow is taking a total beating. It feels like it's hard to be celebratory for some people. Yeah, you think? For those of you guys that follow the markets, the S&P 500 was down 4%. The Dow Jones mirroring that negative 4% drop, and the NASDAQ Composite was down 5.18 percentage points in a single day. The biggest single day drops that we've seen in almost 2 decades. And as people's 401ks are crumbling, Joe Biden's patting himself on the back, celebrating at the White House lawn. Joe Biden is taking a victory lap at the exact moment that the news is reporting this.
For years, so many of us have been trying to fix this problem. But for years, Big Pharma blocked Medicare from negotiating lower drug prices.
All right, I do not want to be a party crasher, but we interrupt this celebration for a hard, cold dose of reality. Stocks tanking because inflation is accelerating. The very inflation that the president said he's made great progress addressing, heralding his Inflation Reduction Act as the boon for the economy that we didn't see in a key number out earlier today. Welcome.
Stocks were tanking. Joe Biden's hailing the Democrat victory over inflation as the stock market crashes because of inflation. We finally got the CPI report for the month of August, and while Joe Biden's puppet Karine Jean-Pierre is saying this
month, we saw some welcome moderation in the price increases for food at the grocery store. It's moderating, which is important. And now today's CPI data show more progress in bringing global inflation down here at home.
The reality is quite the opposite. Let's take a look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics data. As you guys can see right over here, 12-month percent change in CPI for all urban consumers, not seasonally adjusted for the last 12 months from August 2021 to 2022. The blue line on the graph is what the Biden administration is trying to keep people's attention on. Consumer Price Index inflation for the month of August was 8.3%. economists were expecting 8.1%, meaning it didn't drop as much as economists were hoping or expecting. It also means that inflation is still above 8%. That's not a good thing. The Biden White House can't take a victory lap here. I mean, it's basically stagnant. It's almost as if we're not exactly seeing a peak, but rather we're seeing consistently high inflation. For the last 6 months, it's clocked in at over 8%. You simply draw a line from March and it's basically straight. But the 8.3 CPI number isn't even the main headline here. The number basically met expectations it was supposed to reduce because of the reduction in oil prices. The important number was the core CPI data, which calculates inflation but I think omits energy prices and food from the tabulation. Core CPI jumped and clocked in at 6.3%, meaning exactly what I predicted a couple months ago is happening. Inflation is here to stay, and just like I stated, Joe Biden and Janet Yellen's claim that inflation is transitory was right, but of course for the wrong reasons. It is transitory, it's just not transitioning away like they were stating, it's transitioning from energy costs to goods and services. And that, my friends, is a seriously bad thing. It means that not only are airline tickets and gas prices and food prices going up, but now it seems as though everything is about to get more expensive, and it's now possible that core CPI, meaning everything, or the cost of everything, is on the rise, is going to start ticking upwards, meaning as Joe Biden celebrates his victory over inflation, there might be another 6 to 12 months, possibly even longer, of continued inflationary pain. Joe Biden is touting the success of his economic track record and economic plans as markets are shaving off trillions. He's claiming it's all over and we're headed towards a period of extreme growth and economic success, even though we haven't even seen the downturn. We know the Fed's #1 mission right now is to reduce inflation, and they're doing that with interest rate hikes. But we also know that CPI is an irrelevant number to the Fed. What the Fed cares about is core CPI. You know, that number that actually just ticked up last month? Meaning the Fed is now more likely than ever to increase the Fed rate not by 75 basis points, but by 100 basis points, meaning by 1%. And what do you know about the economy? What do you know about stocks? What do you know about economic growth within periods of high interest rates? Well, there's very little growth, meaning we haven't even really seen the recession yet. But it's coming, and after this most recent CPI reading, I'm more confident than ever in that prediction. And it goes back to the same thing that I've been saying over the last couple of months. This guy is just the worst. He continues to celebrate, he continues to pat himself on the back, he continues to play politics as people are suffering financially. It's sickening. And in the midst of a recession and an inflation crisis, he's attacking the energy sector, increasing taxes on corporations, and of course, as we've seen from nonpartisan economic analysis, it's going to lead to tax increases on the middle class, and he's pushing forward even more irresponsible government spending at the worst possible time imaginable, and then celebrating his historic success in the White House lawn. Meanwhile, the markets look like this. Simply put, this guy is the worst president of my lifetime, and it's not even close. That's the video though, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.